Formally introduced under the British Motor Corporation, BMWach, in 1959, the Mini became an enduring British symbol. Its remarkable design, spanning 4 decades of production and 6 decades of sales, celebrated a single generation of the small, 2-door, 4-seater car available in fastback, estate, and convertible versions. Its innovative design maximized interior space, making 80 of the car's floor pan usable for passengers and luggage. The efficient use of space, paired with a novel transverse engine and front-wheel drive, not only made the Mini a pop culture icon, but also reshaped thinking about small car design. The model secured second place as the most influential car of the 20th century, with designs such as the Honda N360 1967, Nissan Cherry 1970, and the Fiat 127 1971, all adopting the same transverse engine layout. Created by Sir Alec Isigonis for BMWach, this unique compact car saw production across several locations, including Birmingham, Sydney, Spain, Belgium, Italy, Chile, Malta, Portugal, South Africa, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Yugoslavia. The Italian rendition, the Innocendi Mini, was produced in Milan by the same company responsible for Lambretta scooters. The Mini underwent several UK adaptations, yielding variations like the estate car, a pickup, a van, and the Mini Moke, a Jeep-esque Boogie Lim Cooper. Versions were successful race and rally cars, capturing multiple Monte Carlo rally victories in 1964, 1965, and 1967. Originally known as the Austin 7 and Morris Mini Minor, the Mini later became its own mark in 1969, and in the years followed, its name evolved to the Austin Mini and, finally, just Mini. After acquiring the Rover Group, BMW reserved the right to produce cars under the Mini brand, and since 2000, it has manufactured the modern BMW-influenced Mini range due to the 1956 Suez Crisis-induced fuel shortage. This iconic automobile was born out of necessity and is now affectionately referred to as the classic Mini. Alec Isigonis, previously at Albus, was brought back to BMWach in 1955 with a mandate from Lord to conceptualize a collection of technologically advanced family vehicles in the pioneering ethos of his earlier Morris Minor. This was done in order to augment BMWach's current traditional models. Isigonis embarked on the design process for 3 cars, 2 family vehicles varying in size and a compact economy car. His primary focus was initially on the larger vehicle, often referred as X9001, with the smallest car, X9003, being his personal favorite but bearing the least importance. However, with Lord's order to rival the bubble car and the redesigning regulations implemented in October 1956, work on X9001 ceased, and X9003 took paramount importance. The group behind the Mini's design was incredibly small, involving John Shepard, Jack Daniels, and Chris Kingham, alongside Isigonis, 2 engineering students, and 4 draftsmen. By July 1957, they had constructed the original X9003 prototype, tenderly deemed the orange box due to its color. Leonard Lord sanctioned the car for manufacture on 19 July and X9003 transitioned into Project Adolphin. The Atto 15 employed a traditional BMWach Series 4-cylinder, coolant-enhanced engine, albeit it was transversely mounted, placing the 4-speed transmission in the sump, and used front-wheel drive. This configuration became famous for the characteristic transmission. While subsequent compact, front-wheel drive cars have generally employed similar arrangements. The radiator was positioned at the car's left side, preserving vehicle length but carrying the disadvantage of channeling air heated by the engine to it and exposing the ignition system to rainwater. The first prototypes utilized the existing 948cc series unit, but resulted in the Atto 15 offering a performance that exceeded its purpose. Thus, the engine was downscaled to an 848cc capacity with a shorter stroke. The modifications led to a decline in power and torque, offering a more realistic performance. The Atto 15's body was expanded by 2 inches from the X9003 prototype, reducing the vehicle's top speed but enhancing its stability and road holding. Despite these changes, the Atto 15 boasted a top speed of 75 mph, surpassing many other economy cars of the time. In the mid-1950s, a fluid system was being developed by Alec Isigonis and Alex Moulton at Albus, akin to what they had seen with the Citroën 2CV suspension. Inspired by the 2CV, Isigonis emphasized on maintaining elements like road wheel control, body leveling, and ride comfort, while introducing an aspect which the Tukey lacked. Roll stiffness. This formed the basis of the hydroelastic suspension used in the Mini and the Morris Austin 1100. However, the system was not ready upon the Mini's initial launch. It was eventually implemented in the Morris 1100 in 1962 and later in the Mini in 1964. The original Mini suspension instead was a simple, maintenance-free, and compact conical rubber spring system. Variances in load from an empty car weighing about 600 kg to a full one weighing just over 1,000 kg could be efficiently handled by this system. The car's small 10-inch wheels necessitated the development of new tires, a responsibility that fell to Dunlop after an agreement was reached on the wheel size. The interior of the vehicle was also meticulously designed to optimize passenger and luggage space within the compact dimensions facilitated by the novel engine position and smaller wheels. For instance, sliding windows enabled single-skin doors to reinforce elbow room and economize costs, taking function to another level. A bracing bar morphed into an expansive storage bin. In a humorous revelation, Isagonis claimed that the bin was designed to accommodate his preferred dry martini quantities. Successfully adapting the vehicle to utilize every available space, storage provisions were also created behind rear seats, under them, and even the optional wicker baskets that could be ideally placed there. However, the creation of a rigid body shell came at the cost of ruling out a hatchback due to the need for a fixed rear parcel shelf. Even the boot lid, hinging from the bottom to allow increased luggage space, initially had a swiveling number plate to stay visible when opened. This feature was discontinued when it was found that exhaust gases could infiltrate the cabin while driving with the boot open. Designed initially with all vital panels welded to the top of a single floor pressing, the Mini encountered significant issues with water leakage into the cabin. Thus, modifications were quickly made in the initial production stages. With the cars breaking apart under high loads, the design was modified to incorporate steel subframes to support the drivetrain and suspension at the front and back. This revision not only simplified production, but also paved the way for easy creation of 8015 variants, as any body shape or design could be accommodated, provided it fitted the subframes. In 1959, the Mini's design and production earned Beamick and Alec Isagonis the esteemed Dewar Trophy. The Mini shape was so iconic that Rover Group, as successors to Mach, were successful in registering it as a trademark by the 1990s. The production variant of the Mini was revealed to the press in April 1959, and several thousand cars were ready for sale by August. The car was made available to the public on 26 August 1959, with around 2,000 cars showcased in nearly 100 countries. The earliest models, a Morris Mini Minor with a registration 621 IOC, can be seen at the Heritage Motor Centre in Warwickshire. Another 1959 model is on display at the National Motor Museum in Hampshire. Until 1969, the Mini was marketed under the two primary brand names, Austin and Morris, before gaining its own distinct identity. The Austin version was almost branded as Austin Newmarket, but eventually sold as Austin 7, reminding the public of the beloved Austin 7 from the 20s and 30s. Until 1962, the cars were branded as Austin 850 and Morris 850 in France and North America, and as Austin Partner and Morris Mascot in Denmark. In 1961, the Austin 7 was renamed as Austin Mini. The brand name Mini had been used by the Sharps Commercials Car Company for their three-wheeled vehicles since 1949, but legal action was avoided and Beam using the Mini name. Mutant continued using the Mini name. In 1964, the suspension was replaced by Moulton's hydroelastic system, which, although increasing weight and production cost, offered smoother ride. By 1971, the original rubber suspension was reinstated and stayed for the remaining life of the Mini. In the 1960s, the Mark I Mini gradually gained popularity, producing an impressive total of 1,190,000 cars. Ford, wanting a piece of this thriving market, took apart a Mini to create an alternative. Unfortunately for Ford, their analysis concluded that every Mini sold was at a pace 30 loss as a counteract. Ford introduced the larger Cortina in 1962. However, BMC, the makers of Mini, argued that the car was indeed profitable due to overhead costs. Substantial profits ensued from the sale of deluxe models and modern essentials such as seat belts, Dr. mirrors, heaters, and radios. And also the Cooper and Cooper S models, the Mini gained cultural traction in the 1960s when it became a favorite among film and music celebrities. An upgrade. The Mark I Mini was introduced in 1967, featuring design improvements and sold 429,000 units. Various Mini models were also produced in Spain by Author, often under the Morris name. In 1969, a fiberglass version of the Mini Mark II was produced for British Leyland subsidiary in Chile, recognizable by its missing body, seams, and larger panel gaps. The next evolution, the Mark I Mini, emerged with a modified body and various changes, including larger doors and winding windows. To cut costs, the suspension reverted from hydroelastic to rubber cones. In 1969, the separate Austin and Morris brands were consolidated under the simple name Mini, and by 1974, a heater was a standard feature. In the late 1970s, Innocenti created a line of hatchbacks inspired by the Mini, introducing the Innocenti de Tommaso, resembling the Mini Cooper with a similar engine but some unique elements. This continued the legacy of the Mini brand while constantly evolving in the ever-changing automobile industry. The Mark IV model of the Mini was launched in 1976 by British Leyland, amid speculation of a forthcoming new small car model. The Mark IV model featured improved mechanical foundations and reduced noise levels, inclusive of a front rubber mounted subframe with single tower bolt and larger bushings in the rear frame. Additionally, dual column stalks for wipers and indicating as well as expanded foot pedals were introduced in 1977. An innovation in the rear light clusters was made by including reverse lights. In 1976, adjustments were made to the Mini lineup, replacing the long-standing Mini 850 with two slightly varied price range models. The Mini City serving as the new baseline model. The 850 Super Deluxe Del was also released equipped with the standard Mini 1000 specifications but a smaller engine. Marking its 20th anniversary in 1979, British Leyland launched the first limited edition Mini, the Mini 1100 Special, a 5,000 car production featuring the 1098C engine. This model flaunted unique Exactum alloy wheels and plastic wheel arch extensions. By 1980, the Mini 1100 Special and 850 City models were phased out, making way for a new engine, the A+ unit inherited from the latest Metro model. This became the sole engine for the Mini, leading to a series of ensuing enhancements. In 1978, the Mini was offered to motorists with disabilities under the newly introduced Motability Scheme. By 1980, however, rumors of its downfall began to circulate, especially with the advent of the Austin Mini Metro and surging competition from supermenace like Ford Fiesta, Renault 5, and Volkswagen Polo. As markets like South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand halted production, it became evident that the Mini's traditional charm was losing favor to modern, practical hatchback designs. The Mini Nitro was hence perceived as a larger hatchback rendition of the classic Mini. The Mini, a renowned automobile with a memorable design and a 210mm brake disc and plastic wheel arches, celebrated its 25th anniversary in 1984. British Leyland commemorated the event by producing a limited edition Mini 25 model, marking a turning point in the Mini's history. Basic versions like the City and the City E, repurposing the economy, tuned drivetrain from the Metro Hall, became key components in the Austin Rover vehicle lineup. Earning popularity due to their compact, city-friendly size and affordability, they became a go-to choice for buyers desiring a cost-effective and park-friendly vehicle. The Mini's low cost of purchase and maintenance made it particularly attractive to young, first-time drivers. To cater to this demographic, Austin Rover introduced a series of limited edition vehicles featuring vibrant colors, distinctive body graphics, and exclusive trims. The vehicle concurrently gained recognition as a nostalgic style icon, prompting the creation of a more luxurious and upscale edition model named London Collection, inspired by London's fashionable district. This marketing approach was highly prosperous. Mini production numbers experienced a modest but consistent rise through the mid-80s, from 34,974 units in 1984 to 35,280 in 1985 and reaching 39,800 in 1986. In 1990, the Mini Cooper was reintroduced after a gap of 2 decades, pushing the production beyond 40,000 units equipped with the enduring 1275 CE engine. Engined in the original Mini Cooper S, the iconic Mini made its triumphant return. A critical decision came to pass in 1988 when Austin Rover chose to extend Mini's production as long as possible, dismissing reports of its discontinuation by 1991. The end of the era came in 1996 as the Mark V supplanted. In 1991, 21 years after the creation of the fiberglass Mini from Chile, a new fiberglass-bodied Mini was launched in Venezuela by Ficorsa, aiming to captivate the Caribbean and Central American markets. The final version of the Mini boasted twin-point injection with a front-mounted radiator, a full-width dashboard, and an internal bonnet release. It introduced an airbag on the driver's side and closed production in October 2000, 41 years since its inception and concluding the run of the 1275C engine that empowered the Mini and countless other Blomkarg automobiles for over 3 decades. The Mini dwarfed the Metro, its supposed replacement, which had been discontinued 2.5 years earlier. Over time, the exceptional popularity of the original Mini spurred the creation of various models appealing to different market segments. The Elf and Hornet, with their 2036M wheelbase, were enhanced in length to 3.27m, adding mass for them to weigh 638 kg, Elf, and 618 kg, Hornet, featuring each brand's unique upright grille design, notably the lit Wolseley badge on the Hornet and larger diameter chrome hubcaps as compared to the Austin and Morris Menace. They exuded a classiness. These models were also elevated by chrome accents, bumper overriders, and wood rear dashboards between them. The Riley Elf fetched a higher price tag. Historically, the name Wolseley Hornet was seen in the 1930s, gracing saloon, coupe, sports, and racing cars, while Elf, coined by Riley, nostalgically harked back to the Riley Sprite and Imp sports cars of the same era. A significant characteristic distinguishing the two was their full-width dashboard, an innovation introduced by Christopher Milner, the sales manager for Riley. The Riley Elves and Wolseley Hornets bodies were crafted by Fisher Ludlow under the Fisher Low brand. Additions from the very early Mark I showcased a single-piece front wing and lacked bumper overriders, which were incorporated by 1962. Initial creations of Mark I had a mix of leather and cloth seats, which later changed to all leather. Interestingly, in 1966, 57 convertible Hornets were constructed for the Heinz Food Company as prizes for a UK contest, some of which are still operational today. The Elf and Hornet evolved through 3 engine versions, starting with the 848cc 34B engine, which was upgraded to a single Hestwu carburetor 38B LEP version of the Cooper's 998cc power unit in 1963. This change increased the car's top speed from 71 to 77 mph, necessitating an increase in braking power in the form of front drum brakes. Both Mark I and Mark I included 4-speed gearboxes, with the automatic gearbox being an option in the Mark I from 1965. The 1966 Mark II facelift introduced wind-up windows and fresh air fascia vents, while concealed Dr. hinges were incorporated onto the mainstream Mini 2 years later. The story focuses on various classic 2-door estate vehicles, particularly those featuring a striking double barn-style rear door design. Models such as these typically highlighted the convenience of a slightly extended 84-inch, 2.1m chassis versus the standard 8,025-inch, 2.38m saloon version. Diving deeper, the spotlight shines on models like the early Morris Mini Traveler and Austin Mini Countryman, unique in their placement of the fuel tank inside the car on the left-hand side, the car on the left-hand side. This feature identifiable from the fuel cap's position just below the rear window. However, by October 1961, the fuel tank was moved underneath the car, shifting the fuel cap to the lower right side, as seen on the minivan. These vehicles flaunted decorative ash wood trim on the back, not enhancing the functionality but simply for the aesthetic value. Echoing design vibes from pre-war shooting brakes, they resembled their Morris Minor Traveler counterparts, leading to them being affectionately termed as Woodies. Some misconceptions surround these classic vehicles, like the difference attributed to the wooden trim. However, by April 1961, an all-steel version sans the wooden trim emerged. Initially intended for export and later released for the local market by October 1962. This version, cheaper than the wood trim ones, led to the creation of Austin Countryman and Morris Traveler derivatives, with or without the wooden frame. Come October 1967, the Mach 2 version joined the fleet, incorporating the same saloon alterations. Together, about 108,000 Austin Mini Countrymans and 99,000 Morris Mini Travelers were manufactured, some also by South African, Italian, and Portuguese manufacturers to keep the legacy of these vehicles alive. The Mini Traveler and Countryman Register was established in 2009. The narrative also encompasses the minivan, a popular sedan delivery vehicle in the 1960s UK market, built on a Traveler chassis, sans side windows. Its commercial vehicle status meant no sales tax imposition. A simplistic stamped steel pattern replaced the more expensive chrome grille, contributing to its appeal by 1978. It was rebranded as the Mini 95, a reference to its 0.95 tons gross vehicle weight. A total of 521,494 units were produced. The story wraps up with a special version made in the late 1970s, the estate van with rear side windows. A product of EMA, a British Leyland factory in Portugal, it flaunted a single rear window and door that hinged upward for rear access. The narrative revolves around the evolution of the Mini, from a pickup truck to the iconic Mini Cooper. It begins with a description of a pickup truck devised on the longer minivan base. Its key features include a tailgate along with a spacious rear storage and a modest weight of less than 1,500 lb. While the pickup was basic, it did offer receivers a series of additional components to enhance their experience, including seat belts and sun visor, among others. The vehicle underwent rebranding in 1978, taking on a new name, Mini 95. The narrative then shifts to Australia with the introduction of Morris Mini K, produced predominantly with local content and stamped as a significant advancement in the automotive industry. The Mini Key was made available in two styles, equipped with wind-up windows and a uniquely positioned kangaroo logo. This model was marketed as Kangaroo to accentuate its economical fuel usage and possibly its larger fuel tank. A special and very limited edition of Mini, the Beach Mini, was crafted by hand for a niche target group, including hotels and high-end patrons. These models, bereft of doors and B-pillars, boasted spot-welded roofs and unique seating arrangements reminiscent of a Fiat 500 Jolly today. These beach models are among the rarest and most expensive Minis, with some fetching amounts up to $230,000 at auctions. The story concludes with the development of the widely acclaimed Mini Cooper. Despite original resistance to envision the Mini as a performance vehicle, John Cooper teamed up with Alekis Ajanas to create this model. Released in 1961, the Mini Cooper packed in a modified engine, twin carburetors, a closer ratio gearbox, and front disc brakes, a rarity in small cars of the time. It was designed keeping in mind Group 2 rally racing and had an initial production run of 1,000 units. The original 997cc engine of the Mini Cooper was then replaced with a shorter stroke 998cc unit in 1964. In 1963, a powerful upgrade of the Mini Cooper, known as the ESE, was launched. This model featured a 1071cc engine and larger servo, assisted disc brakes with over 4,000 units sold until its 1964 upgrade. Two additional S models were also released for circuit racing, boasting 970CE and 1275cc engines respective to their class. Both available to the general public post 1966, saw the introduction of twin fuel tanks as a standard feature. Despite production longevity, the less powerful model wasn't successful and was discontinued after only 963 units were produced. Meanwhile, the larger engine model was kept in production for several more years, until 1971. Sales records show varying success across different versions of the Mini Cooper throughout its first few generations. The BMW and Innocenti partnership in 1959 marked an important step towards expanding the Italian market for BMW. The first Innocenti Mini Cooper 1300s were assembled using imported kits and went on sale in March 1966. The license was handed over to Spain's Audi in 1973 for continued production. In 1990-91, a Mini Cooper variant known as the RSP, Rover Special Products, was launched. Despite having reduced performance compared to the 1960s Cooper, it proved popular, resulting in full production by the end of 1991. As an adaptation to evolving emission standards, Coopers from 1992 were equipped with fuel-injected versions of the 1275cc engine. Adana remarked in 2003 about her love for the Mini Cooper, citing its smaller, more manageable size for London road. British Leyland, who owned Mini in 1969, revamped the model by adding a Clubman-style variant, featuring a squarer front and using the same indicator side light assembly as the Austin Maxi. The Clubman was powered by the 998 CE engine already in use in the Mini 1000 upon its launch. A sportier model, the 1275 GT, was introduced as a replacement for the 998 cc Mini Cooper, while the original Mini remained in production as a lower-priced model and the Clubman's successor. The Mini 1275 GT, often mistakenly referred to as the Mini Clubman 1275 GT, is a distinct model from the Clubman series, despite sharing similar design features, specifically at the front, and being launched concurrently with the Clubman version. The UK production saw the 1275 GT as the sole sporting Mini available throughout the 70s, when its 1275cc Mini Cooper S counterpart was discontinued in 1971. Although the Cooper version was still being produced by Innocenti in Italy. Reasonably priced with lower cost of ownership and insurance premiums, the 1275 GT wasn't as speedy as the 1275 Mini Cooper SE. However, it's noteworthy for being the first Mini model furnished with a tachometer, featuring a close ratio gearbox as standard and initially having 10-inch raw-style wheels. While the flat front design posed a hindrance to the 1275G reaching speeds beyond 90 mph, its performance metrics were commendable for its era. In 1975, the Clubman model saw a shift to a 1098 CE engine with 45 bhp, barring those Clubmans with automatic transmission that were equipped with the less powerful 998C engine. In the 1970s, both the original 1959 round, front design, and the newer Clubman and 1275 GT models were produced side by side. The latter, albeit being more expensive, featured improved crash safety, equipment, and underbonnet accessibility. The 1980s heralded the conclusion of the Clubman and 1275 GD production lines, making way for the new hatchback Austin Metro. The original 1959 style, however, continued for another 2 decades. At the cessation of production, a total of 275,583 Clubman saloons, 197,606 Clubman estates, and 110,673 1275 gates were manufactured. In Australia, all Minis, including the van version, adopted the Clubman front in 1971. Furthermore, a Clubman gate model, essentially a Cooper S in a Clubman body, was produced from mid-1971 to the end of 1972. The saloons were launched in August 1971 under the name of Morris Mini Clubman and rebranded as Leyland Mini, sans the Clubman prefix, from February 1973 onwards. To close off Mini production in Australia, a limited edition 1275's model was produced. This model, enabled with a pollution-controlled 1275C engine, boasted a single 1.5-inch carburetor and 8.4-inch disc brakes. This model was in production from July to October 1978, during which roughly 810 vehicles were made. In 1994, B&W, under the leadership of Bernd Pischetsrieder, acquired the Rover Group, which included prominent vehicle brand Mini-I. However, by March 2000, due to sustained losses, W opted to sell off majority of the Rover company. Meg and Rover were transferred to British consortium Phoenix, while Land Rover was bought by Ford. Despite the sell-off, BMW retained the right to the Mini brand along with its proposed new model. Rover was temporarily permitted to continue making and selling the outgoing model of the old Mini. By April 2000, the Mini lineup comprised of 4 versions: Mini Classic 7, Mini Classic Cooper, Mini Classic Cooper Sport, and, for non-UK European markets, the Mini Knightsbridge. The final old-style Mini, a red Cooper Sport, was manufactured on 4th October 2000 and later donated to the British Motor Industry Heritage Trust. In December, approximately 4 million cars were produced and sold over its lifespan, with majority of them being sold in the UK following the sale of the final old-style Mini. The Mini name officially came under B&W ownership. BMW's new model, the Mini Hatch, although not technically related to the old car, maintained its iconic features such as its 4-cylinder, front-wheel drive layout and distinctive bulldog stance. Continuing the Mini's legacy, the final Mini rolled out of Longbridge plant in 2012. Tracing back to its roots, Mini was first introduced in August 1959 through the models Austin 7, Morris Mini Minor, and Morris Mini Minor and Morris Mini Minor Dell 2-door saloons, equipped with an 848cc engine and 4-speed manual gearbox. These were later joined by the Austin 7 Countryman and Morris Mini Minor Traveler. three-door estates in 1960. Further developments took place over the years, including the introduction of the Austin Mini Cooper and Morris Mini Cooper II, door saloon in 1961, various updates to upholstery, introduction of new models such as the Austin Mini Cooper 1071S and Morris Mini Cooper 1071S2, door saloons in 1960. That iconic Mini brand has continued to evolve over decades, threading its story of innovation, versatility, and timeless appeal. The story traces the evolution of the iconic Mini car from its inception in 1968, sketching highlights through the decades, underscoring the diversity of its models, variants, and its journey in varying markets worldwide. In 1968, a manual 4-speed gearbox synchromesh for all forward gears was established by March 1969. A new model, the Morris Mini K, was launched, designed only for Australia, boasting 80 local content from the factory at Zetland-Nenswick. Soon after, in October 1969, badging was changed to just Mini 850, Mini 1000, and the range was pruned to 850, 1000, Clubman, Cooper S, and 1275, G2, door saloon, and Clubman 3-door estate. Late that year, Mini Mk3 debuted in South Africa, stylishly integrating the rear of the Riley Elf with the front of the Atto 15 Mini. In 1988, Mini officially became a standalone mark, despite Rover persisting in Vive documents. Moving forwards, numerous limited edition Mini models were created to celebrate beneficent milestones, victories, or mark anniversaries, each featuring unique interior and external detailing. Mini Rio, Mini Park Lane, Mini Cooper Asprey, the popular Mini Monza are spectacular instances of these exclusive versions. From 1967 to 1979, Isagonis planned a Mini successor, the experimental Model 9X, which was designed as a more compact and spacious hatchback. But due to internal politics within British Leyland, it failed to transcend into production. The Gaydon, located British Heritage Motor Centre Museum, houses prototypes of Mini-based vehicles that didn't make it to the production line. These include the Twiney Austin Ant and a convertible Meg edition of the Mini, the Atto 34. In 1992, a project was conceived for enhancing the Mini. Codenamed Minky, it proposed significant changes including a redesigned dashboard, a 2-piece rear door, fold-down rear seats, hydrogas suspension, and a more powerful engine. However, the project was abandoned owing to massive engineering expenses and difficulty in meeting modern crash testing standards. With their affordability and ample supply, used Minis have become popular choices suitable for body replacements. There are about 120 distinct variations of Mini-based kit cars, thanks to various small-scale companies and individual auto enthusiasts. Possibly one of the most unique designs within this is the Outspan Orange. Manufactured by Brian Waite Enterprises to promote fruit in 1972, the rarity of the design did not deter its survival, with numerous models still in existence today. The Mini's colossal success in motorsport was largely attributed to the diligent work of BMW's competition department in Abingdon, Oxfordshire, overseen by Stuart Turner. The department crafted specialized Minis, predominantly based off the Cooper and Cooper S models that have been victorious in numerous international rallies and other motorsport events through the 1960s. Their notable accolades include wins at the Monte Carlo Rally, the 1000 Lakes Rally, and a resounding sweep of the first 9 positions at the 1966 Gallagher 500 at Bathurst. Furthermore, the Mini's triumphs stretch beyond rally racing, having clinched titles in the British Saloon Car Championship, British Rally Championship, European Rally Championship, Finnish Rally Championship, and many more events. Within endurance racing, Minis marked victories in the Lowood 4-hour race in 1965 and the final Finnish Grand Prix in 1963. The Mini Cooper S demonstrated a remarkable resume in the European Touring Car Championship, with top finishes in 1964 and 1968, and trophies from several prestigious races like the Gaia Race of Macau and the Australian Touring Car Championship. They continued maintaining impressive performance until 1969 in the Armstrong 500, and also had class wins in later races. In a controversial turn of events during the 1966 Monte Carlo Rally, the Minis initially secured the top 3 positions, but were later disqualified due to a contentious decision regarding a technicality in the car's headlamp dimming system. Despite this setback, they bounced back to claim victories in the subsequent 1967 rally. Later, in the fast-paced world of rallycross, Minas left a lasting mark with podium finishes in the inaugural race at Lydden Hill Race Circuit in 1967, and victories in the FIA European Rallycross Championship in 1974 and 1975. Proving its durability, the Mini was still competing as late as the 1979 Australian Rallycross Championship. This widespread and consistent success underscores the Mini's enduring dominance in the world of motorsport. Biamic and Isagones were recognized by the Royal Automobile Club with the esteemed De Trophy, recognizing their inventive design and production of the Mini. Over the years, the Mini has garnered several additional awards, even being nominated as the second global car of the century in 1999, surpassed only by the Model T Ford. Certain awards were also specific to the Mini's European success. Being touted as the European car of the century, the Mini's popularity is equally impressive, becoming the most sold British car ever, with 5.3 million units sold. The peak of Mini's success was in the UK, where it was a leading automobile. Milestones include manufacturing the 1 millionth Mini in 1965 and later the 4 millionth in 1976, maintaining supremacy over the mini car market for years. Despite new competition from models like the Vauxhall Chevette in 1975, the Mini sales remained resilient until 1980 when the Metro was introduced. Although the Metro did not officially replace the Mini, it did cause a decline in the Mini sales during the 1980s. Interest was reignited in the 90s with the return of the Mini Cooper in 1990, propelling sales until the halt in production in 2000. After the launch in 1959, a staggering 1,581,887 Minis were sold in the UK, the last new registration occurring in 2004, 4 years post-production. In terms of sales in the US, approximately 10,000 left-hand drive Biamic Minis were exported between 1960 and 1967, but stricter safety standards in 1968 resulted in discontinuation. However, now that cars older than 25 years are exempt from all U.S. import laws, older Minis can now be freely imported, with Canada applying a similar rule after 15 years. Attesting to the Mini's timeless appeal and embodiment of British motoring history, despite numerous modifications to its design to enhance safety throughout its production, the Mini continued to struggle in matching up to US safety regulations and emission standards. The situation got so serious at one point that there were speculations about an end to Mini production due to safety regulations. The Mini, however, picked itself back up with improvements in safety in 1996 when it introduced airbags and side impact bars. Despite these efforts, British Aerospace was planning to discontinue the Mini in 1996 due to the rising bar for European safety and pollution standards. Yet BMW saw potential in the Mini and decided to make the necessary investments to keep the Mini in production until a new model could be launched. Even so, the Mini was not absolved from criticism concerning its safety. In 2007, the Mini City made it to the list of 10 worst cars for safety since 1983, published by Which? Magazine. According to a Department for Transport Stats publication, out of all small cars manufactured between 1990 and 2000, the Mini and the Hyundai Autos were, with 84's likelihood of driver injury, the riskiest for drivers. The average risk for the small car category was slightly lesser at 76. Regardless of this, the Mini marked its 50th anniversary in 2009 with pomp and celebration. It was a part of the British Design Classic Stamp Edition by the Royal Mail, featuring the original Macone Mini model. Thousands of Minis and Mini enthusiasts alike also took part in large-scale parades, runs, and anniversary parties at various locations throughout the year, proving that despite its flaws, the Mini still held a special place in the hearts of many.